All right, welcome back to the number one podcast in the world. Today we have probably the best guest that we're ever going to get. We have the most famous Beloit College alumni. We've got the Dodgers announcer, and his resume speaks for itself. We've got Joe Davis.
Yes, sir. Welcome on.
What's up, guys?
God, Joe, we really appreciate you coming on for us. We have been really excited and nervous about this.
Yeah.
No, don't be nervous at all. We're just three Beloit guys hanging out chatting.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about early life, finding Beloit, getting into sportscasting, and then maybe even tell us a little bit about your experience at Beloit, this past spring when you got to be the graduation speaker.
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan, and from the time that you start thinking about I want to be this or that when I grow up, I, for whatever reason, knew that this is exactly what I wanted to do. So, yeah, I think that helped, whether I was conscious of it or not, guide my decisions as I got into high school and where to go to college. And I know you may say, well, wait a minute, if you knew you wanted to be a sportscaster, why the hell did you pick Beloit, which especially back then had no broadcasting curriculum at all. Dave Knutson had a couple classes, but that was about it. But I think because Beloit didn't have, wasn't Syracuse, it wasn't Northwestern, I didn't have any competition for the reps that there were to be had. And I'm sure you guys have seen, it's the kind of place where if you can come up with something that you want to do, you can find somebody who's going to go out of their way to help you make it a reality. So I made it into a broadcasting school for myself. I took every rep that there was to be had, and anything I could dream up, I really quickly could find somebody who could help put it all together for me and help turn that into a real opportunity. And then you asked about coming back for commencement last year. That was really cool. I actually didn't get to walk because I graduated in December, and during my graduation, I was already down with my first job doing minor league baseball. So that was the first time that I got to be part of a graduation ceremony at Beloit.
I think it's really interesting that you say that thing about having minimal competition. I mean, I guess I never necessarily thought about that, but with us doing our podcast, we get a lot of opportunities to interview guys like yourself and, other, Beloit alumni just because we're the only ones who have this platform. And a lot of the faculty and the administration, they really help us out because, we have this platform that we get to use. And had this been a Syracuse or a Northwestern, I don't think we're getting these opportunities to come on here and do that.
Yeah, not till you're, a junior or a senior, right? It's and for me, looking at it, to do basketball games and do baseball games, or if I wasn't playing football, do football games, that wasn't going to happen until I was a few years in. And of course, you have the benefits at a place like Syracuse where you get the network, which is incredible. You get an amazing Rolodex of contacts immediately. So there's stuff like that, and I'm not knocking those places. I guess what I'm saying is a place like Beloit can be great in a different way because you have a monopoly on all the hands-on experience. And I think that more than anything, that's what lets you improve the quickest is getting those real life reps.
Yeah, I feel like here you can basically you can almost just make your own degree if you want to.
Absolutely. I did a independent study with a theater professor to work on my voice.
Amy Sarno.
Amy Sarno. I don't think she'd ever watched a game in her life at that point, but she helped me, an aspiring sportscaster, get some experience that you wouldn't. That's the kind of thing that even at a Syracuse you're not going to be able to do. A dedicated work with, she may not know much about sports or sports broadcasting, but a expert when it comes to using your voice because of her background in theater, and I was able to put that to work for myself.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I'm in an acting class with her this semester. It was just kind of a required class, but we were talking about exciting things that we have this week. I'm like, oh yeah, we got a big guest for our podcast, Joe Davis. And she was like, oh, well, he took voice lessons with me. He should be coming to see me. Yeah, but I think the fun thing about Beloit is that sometimes you're kind of forced into taking classes like that. I would never take an acting class, ever in a million years. and I had to do it this year. And it's ended up being something that I've been able to like get things out of. And I don't think I would never have done that if it weren't like not necessarily forced upon me, but more of like a requirement. And then you learn about things like, oh, Joe Davis took voice lessons with this chick. Like, yeah, okay, maybe she might be legit. So, there's always something you can learn from all these different professors.
Yeah, and you know what, guys, and I don't know that there's any college kid that approaches it this way, but I wish that I had, when I was in college, had a better appreciation for kind of what you're talking about and a better appreciation for what a golden opportunity that was to learn about so many different things. Like you said, you never would be taking theater or doing anything like that if you weren't sort of forced into in a situation like you're at Beloit doing different things. I wish that I had leaned into that even more and appreciated when I was in the moment what a gift that was to be able to learn about so many different things. Because now, 15 years later, my favorite thing is to learn. And I think that it probably was then too. I just wasn't as conscious of it. You get into college and it's like, okay, I got to get this, and this to get my degree and get out of here and go do what I'm going to do professionally. But there's a lot of like, it's life giving. Learning is life giving, I think. And to be in a place where you can learn from experts in any field that you can think of. I wish I could go back and take courses on literature and take courses on philosophy. And like I did have that stuff, but I was just going through the motions in a lot of cases, trying to get decent grades and move on to the next course instead of really being in whatever I was in and absorbing and learning and creating that lattice of knowledge. Because that's the goal now, is to learn about as many things as I can and to lattice all those things together.
Right. There's also like a sense of like preparation. It's like if you learn all these different things, well, then you're more prepared. It's like the more knowledge that you have, the more ready you are for different circumstances. I mean, if I never took that acting class with Amy Sarno, I never would have known who she was. And then you would have brought that up and I would have been like, oh, like she's a professor here. I'd have no idea. So it's like.
Exactly. That's a microcosm example of, you're right. When you guys are done with college, you're in your professional careers and you're going to be sitting down at a dinner, hypothetically, talking to, say, a doctor, and you are going to, if you're living your life right, if you're learning right, you're going to be able to have conversations with that doctor about things that otherwise you wouldn't be able to, and the conversation would kind of end. And there's a snowball effect to this. The more you learn, the more you can learn, right? It's like that snowball grows. You create this foundation of knowledge, and the bigger the foundation, the wider the foundation, the more areas you can build up on it.
Oh, completely.
That's a great point. Like I'm a senior this year, and I feel like I've just started learning about, like, I got to take all this stuff a little bit more seriously and like learn as much as I can from it. And I really wish that I knew that when I came in as a freshman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said, though, I don't know that I think the fact that you're realizing that now is probably better than most people. Like, I just don't know that because I'm hard on myself about it. Like, I should have done better at really learning and loving the learning process for every class I was in. I just don't know if that's how we're wired. Mm-hmm. When we get into college, we may be like that for our specific degree. And I think that is human wiring. You set a specific goal, and the things in your cone of attention towards that goal are going to draw your interest and your curiosity and everything, but we don't really look outside of that. I think the more that you can kind of push yourself to stretch your boundaries and test the boundaries, the better.
Definitely. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about like your ability to create professional relationships and how that's really pushed and furthered and extended your career.
Yeah, networking's a huge deal. I think I probably went overboard with it. I'm on the other side of it, where I have young broadcasters reach out to me, and I love it. I also, it makes me think like, gosh, I really would have annoyed the hell out of myself. Like the younger version of me but I don't know that I would change it either, because I think that however much of a nuisance I maybe was and annoying people by getting a hold of them over and over and over and asking for critiques and advice. And I don't know that I would change it, because I think that in a lot of ways where I am now is it comes in a direct line from being aggressive and from having so many people that I was able to learn from and continue to learn from.
Yeah, and I actually really understand that just in terms of baseball. Like when we were freshmen and underclassmen, like, always asking the upperclassmen, like the really good players, like, how are you doing what you're doing? And then like now that we're upperclassmen, we kind of get to see the flip side of that. And you might think, oh, maybe these kids are annoying me, but it's like, man, I would have done the same thing. And it's like it's kind of nice to be in that spot now where you can kind of like set the example for other people.
Yeah, let's say you're going to climb a mountain. You can go by yourself and trip over every rock and figure out this path to the top of the mountain as you go. Or you can hire a Sherpa who's done it before and learn from the mistakes that they made the first time they did it and have a much cleaner, smoother trip to the top of the mountain. Why would you not hire the Sherpa, so to speak?
Yeah, no, I'd hire him.
Right.
Okay, this is just a curiosity question for me. So obviously you played football here at Beloit. You're the QB. How did you get into baseball? And like, was baseball your priority?
I actually went to Beloit planning to play both.
Wow.
And was going into like even in the fall, was at all the baseball meetings and everything. Didn't do any fall ball stuff just because I was playing football. But it wasn't until football season wrapped up and, get into the off season and it's time to really start getting into baseball practice where I thought, geez, like, I don't know. I think one sport is enough. So I went there thinking I was going to be a two-sport guy and just decided to focus on football. But I've always loved baseball. And it was never really where I said, okay, I'm going to be a baseball guy as an announcer. I think that that's where there are the most opportunities because of minor league baseball. That's where there are the most gigs. But it's just kind of worked out now where football and baseball are the two.
Yeah.
Didn't you call a no-hitter at some point? I think it was for the Montgomery Biscuits.
I did. Matt Moore, who pitched in the major leagues for a while.
That's who it was, Matt Moore. Yeah.
That was in 2013, June 16th, 2013, I believe.
Wow.
That's crazy you remember that. But was that just like one of your favorite like moments of being an announcer? Or?
It was. And the tape that I got from that, I sent, so I can draw a real long line from that moment. The tape of the ninth inning, I sent off to my mentors and contacts in the industry. One of them heard it and sent it to his agent. That agent reached out and started, for me, the conversation trying to find an agent. I wound up signing with that agent. Years later, that agent helped me get the Dodgers job.
Wow.
So in a lot of ways, Matt Moore throwing that no-hitter kind of sparked a lot of what has followed.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Hopefully you got Matt Moore a Christmas gift this year.
Yeah, right?
That's hilarious. I remember you telling that story at the graduation speech. And first off, like, just the fact that you were at the the graduation this past year was really cool. I mean, it's crazy how you can just be, kind of in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest and bang, you hear the most recognizable voice and you're like, wow, that's crazy.
No, it was really neat to be at. I enjoyed the opportunity to talk about, because more than sports, I enjoy success principles and life principles and talking about, why we're doing what we're doing. So I felt like that was a really cool, and for me, just because of what my job is, kind of a rare opportunity to talk about more important stuff.
I mean, we're glad that we have you then, because that's exactly what our podcast is about. I mean, we just want to figure out like the process behind why people are the way they are. I mean, what makes successful people successful? Like, everyone's ladder is different, but if you climb it to the top, it doesn't really matter how you get there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One thing I want to get into a little bit more on the fun side. Talk to us a little bit about some of your most memorable calls.
The one that always pops to mind is Bryce Harper's home run in the 2022 NLCS to send the Phillies to the World Series. That was my first year as the lead guy at Fox. So that was my first, when you grow up dreaming of being the voice of the World Series, those are the kinds of moments you think of.
Yeah.
The championship clinching moments. And then for it to be Bryce Harper, who had spent his entire life in baseball, trying so hard to get to the biggest stage, had never been that deep to the postseason. For it to be him that delivered in that moment, and then to feel like I did the moment justice with the call, that's always the one that pops to my mind as, I don't know if it's the best call, but for me, the most special.
Yeah. In moments like that where it's like you're kind of like almost responsible for creating the legacy of these athletes. I mean, Bryce Harper, I mean, he's about just as he's like the baseball version of LeBron. I mean, when he was 16, he was on Sports Illustrated. Like,
right.
I don't know if people today realize how much hype around Bryce Harper there was. And then for you to be able to kind of like cement his legacy during that call, I mean, that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, that you nailed it with that word, responsibility. And that's part of what's awesome about the job is that in those moments, there is this sense that you got to get it right. And for me, that requires more than just simply telling you what happened in those biggest moments. Bryce Harper, it's gone and the Phillies take the lead. There's nothing wrong about that, but I feel like it falls short of ultimately doing what your job is, and that is to capture the moment. So when you watch that clip, you know what it means. It is more than just home run Bryce Harper and the Phillies lead. I said it was the swing of his life. And in saying that, I think that it's kind of given some context to the story that you mentioned, which is he's been his entire life in the spotlight. His entire life, it felt like, led up to that moment. And yeah, he's had some amazing moments, but this is kind of what it's all led to. And hopefully I sort of wrap that context into the call, and because I think that's what ultimately the job calls for.
Oh, 100%. And I'm just curious, like, are the moments like those, are you preparing for that before the game, or is it just like a subconscious thought, like flow state kind of thing?
Yeah, the job is the preparation.
Right.
80% of the job is the time off of the air where you're getting ready for the games. You can't get ready for individual moments like that. Like, How do you prepare for that? You don't script anything, but you're always leaning forward, thinking what could happen. Mm-hmm. You're anticipating it happening. When I say it, you're getting into the late innings or into the fourth quarter of a football game, and you're looking and seeing it's a 7-point game, or they're down 2 and you got Bryce Harper coming up. You've got to anticipate, okay, this could happen. And then from there, if it does, what would it mean? Because we're talking about what ultimately the job calls for you to capture the moment. I'm not smart enough to have Bryce Harper hit that home run and just bam,
right.
I have what's appropriate ready. But if I'm leaning forward and starting to think, if this moment happens, what would it mean? Then I've got the context in there. I've got a word here or a phrase there. And again, you're not scripting it. But for me in that moment, all I could think about was just this baseball life of Bryce Harper. From the time he was 14 years old, we've known who this guy was. So that word life, and knowing that he had a chance right there to come through like he never had, I had all that context in there. And then sort of to your point, it's like you hope that it flows out of you in a coherent and meaningful call.
Right. And I mean, I really relate to that. I mean, it's like when we do even like things like this podcast, like we don't want to lose our train of thought. Like you want to be focused the whole time. And like we have a little bit of a script. Like we have questions down on a Google Doc of like what we might ask, but if the conversation flows in a different way, like we want to keep building off of that, you know, and it's not just asking questions that are written down. It's about like understanding the flow and kind of keeping that same trajectory. And kind of it's like you got to be really focused and you got to pay really close, you know, attention to detail. I mean, you can't just let your mind wander when you're doing things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite sayings, guys, is freedom is on the far side of preparation.
Okay.
So, you know, you like the ability to do that, the ability to be with the guest and be with the conversation comes from having done the hard preparation leading up to it. Similar for me in a broadcast, my ability to really be free and to have fun and to give what the moment calls for, to be out of my own head, that is created by working like crazy to get ready for the broadcast. Same deal as athletes. Your ability to be free once the game arrives and, you know, like just like you said, flowing, that comes from the preparation. That comes from the hours and hours of practice, the thousands of reps that have allowed you to get into the game and hopefully let it flow out of you.
Right. It's kind of like, I'd say a condensed version of that I like to use is like, you know, success is when preparation meets opportunity. And it's kind of just like you know, we hit a lot, you know, work hard in the field and practice, and you get up to the plate. It's, you know, it's different. Honestly, it's hard to train for moments like that. It's like, is your hard work going to work? Like, is your plan going to be executed? And then if you're committed to a plan and you know what you've been doing for a long time, I mean, you're not going to be stressed. You're not going to doubt yourself. You're just going to be confident.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of parallels.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get into this a little bit. Who are some of your favorite guys to work with?
Oral Hershiser, my partner on Dodger broadcasts, is a very special guy to me. My youngest son's middle name is Oral.
Wow.
It's a testament to what he's meant to me. Greg Olson on football. He's one of my good buddies. We're at very similar life stages. He's got a young family, and we prioritize our kids and our family over everything that we do. I learned more from him about football than any person I've ever been around. My dad was a Hall of Fame high school football coach. Wow. So I've been around some smart football people. So there's the partners, but then there, you know, our TV crews, they're 50 to 100 people, depending on the show, putting those broadcasts on. And it really is a team effort. And I know that's cliche, but if one person's not doing their job, it's not going to either look or sound right. So to be a part of a team like that, pulling in the same direction, there's so many relationships that make the job what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question to go off topic a little bit. The 18-inning World Series game, how did you stay locked in for the whole 18 innings? Because I was falling asleep by, like, the 15th inning.
Yeah, there were a couple moments where it's just like our bodies are not wired, our brains are not wired to be able to focus for, in that case, what was like 6 hours long. 6 straight hours, our brains can't do that. So just having to overcome our physiological shortcomings, I had to kind of smack myself and lock back in. But look, I would pay you to call an 18-inning World Series game. So I've had people ask, like, wow, how did you not? Like, are you kidding me? That's the greatest thing ever. Yeah. So once I was able to overcome the physiological breakdown, the biological breakdown of my brain after a couple hours of intense focus and jar myself back into focusing, there was never a question of if I would be able to do that. You know, I just felt so lucky to be in that chair as I do anytime I get to do those games.
That's awesome. And then, like, during the commercial breaks, like, if you have to go to the bathroom during that long game, are you able to just go, like, during commercials, or do you have to stay in your seat at all times?
So it's funny you asked that. Last couple of years have been so amazing for me. Calling these World Series, and I won an Emmy and got an amazing family that I'm so proud of. I think the thing that I heard more about than anything is in an interview soon after the World Series, I made the comment that I didn't pee during the 18-inning game.
Wow.
which is true. I didn't think a ton of it, but turns out America seems to think that is the greatest thing that I've ever done. That was a really impressive thing to people. But yeah, and I've got a small bladder too. Like I got to go right now, but I'm going to hold on to it, no problem. Somehow that 18-inning game, I didn't get up to go.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I can't even believe that. During that game, I remember we had like a lift in the morning or something, and we're like, "Are we really going to stay up for this?" And then we found a way to stay. We're like, dude, if Joe Davis, Beloit alum, can stay up, we can too. In your guys' defense, had you gone to bed, it was 2 hours later where you were than where I was. So okay,
I would have understood it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you don't want to go to bed because then the game's going to end, right? Literally, as soon as you go to bed, you know that the moment's going to happen 2 minutes later.
Mm-hmm. As soon as Freddie came up, I was like, okay, yeah, this game's probably going to end soon. Yeah. Okay, I got a question a little bit on the Dodgers side. So obviously you call the Dodgers during the regular season, but you're also, in charge of the postseason. How do you not maintain any bias towards them?
It's more the harder thing is not, because I think even during the regular season, we get excited when the other team does stuff well. Right? Oral and I both pride ourselves in just being fans of baseball, fans of good play. So getting excited for Vlad Guerrero, not difficult. Getting a little bit less excited for Shohei Ohtani, not difficult. And I get practice doing it during the regular season too, because I'll have 5 Dodger games during the regular season on national TV as well. What's more difficult is framing the information for the new audience, for the national audience. Because the way that I'm going to present Andy Pages to Dodger fans is a lot different than I'm going to present Andy Pages in Game 1 of the World Series.
Yeah.
So you almost have to relearn everything. I've got a million things in my head about the Dodgers. We talk about latticing information, got this structure of information in my head that you almost have to tear down and rebuild to present it differently. So just the reframing of everything that I know, kind of the forgetting and the reframing of everything that I know about the Dodgers.
Wow. That's really interesting. I guess I never really thought about that because you got a guy like Andy Pages and Shohei Ohtani. I mean, two great players, but very different players. And it's
and Dodger fans know that like the name of your parents, right? Like they're experts on it. But the people that are turning the Dodgers on for the first time, or maybe even watching baseball for the first time, they don't know Andy Pages from the next guy.
Right.
So it's my job to tell you he's 23 years old from Cuba, and to then start to peel the onion back from there, as opposed to with Dodger fans who are watching every night during the summer, I might tell you what he did on his off day.
Yeah.
So it's just a totally different presentation of the information.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about some of your relationships with some of the players? Who have you like to watch and all that?
Well, it's a gift to watch Ohtani every day.
Right, that's a gift.
But really, guys, it's like I watched him plenty when he was with the Angels, but to watch him every day, it's another level of appreciation that I find myself having. Just seeing the stuff he did, where every single day there's something where you can tell he's different than everybody else. And this team has several Hall of Famers on it. And those other Hall of Famers look at him like he is his own thing. Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and these guys, they look at Shohei like, yeah, that's Shohei. That's like, no, you're Mookie Betts and you're Freddie Freeman and you're headed to the Hall of Fame too. But to see the wonder that even those guys have for Ohtani, it makes it like you can't help but marvel at him a little bit more, seeing the way that his fellow superstars look at him.
Yeah.
And it's just like the fact of that team. I mean, you've got a guy like Max Muncy who's been a Dodger legend for years. I mean, he's a great player too. You got Tommy Edman is a great player. I mean, there's a bunch of great Dodgers, and I feel like, they get a little bit overshadowed. I mean,
no doubt, yeah.
Like if the Royals had a guy
Max Muncy's hit more home runs than anybody in LA Dodger history.
Literally,
that's crazy to think about.
I mean, if the Royals had a guy like Max Muncy, I mean, he'd be our guy. And
right.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about.
Right.
Yeah. Do you ever forget you're on a hot mic at all, or Will you just like say something that probably shouldn't be said on air, or has that ever happened to you, or not really?
You can't. You can't. In this day and age, career could be over.
Yep.
It's the opposite. It's not. It's the opposite of what you said. You ever forget you're on a hot mic? You assume you are always on a hot mic.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I mean, the was it the Phillies guy that lost his career because of that dumb comment?
It might have been the Reds.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was actually during a Royals game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that stuff's just crazy.
Talk to us a little bit about like some of your favorite broadcasters growing up.
Joe Buck was the guy that I dreamt of being.
Really?
He was the guy calling all the biggest games when I was a kid, and just by osmosis, the guy that I probably took the most from. And it's one of the crazy things among many. What I've in my journey is that he went from being the guy that I idolized to a mentor of mine at Fox.
Yeah.
To like a friend, and eventually I replaced him on the World Series.
Yeah.
The guy that I dreamt of. It's as if saying, it's like a kid saying, not just I want to grow up to be in politics, but it's like a kid saying, I want to grow up to be the president of the United States, having a goal that specific. I said, I want to be Joe Buck, right? Like I want to do the World Series. And then to actually grow up, and when Joe Buck decides he's done, take over for him. It's the kind of stuff that if you turned it in to Hollywood movie house, they'd say, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen. But he gets that lucky.
Mm-hmm. I actually met Joe Buck one time.
Did you?
Back when I was in St. Louis, my girlfriend worked at this smoothie place or something, and I was there visiting her, and he walked in, and I was like, okay, that is a recognizable voice.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was like, can you say, we will see you tomorrow night?
Did he do it for you?
No, he didn't. I wish. I actually didn't ask him, but I should have.
He would have done it. Joe would have done it for you.
No, he's actually a really nice guy. I actually didn't expect that.
Sure is.
Yeah.
It's become the popular thing to dislike him. Even people who have no idea what they're listening to, or probably couldn't even pick Joe out of a group of people. Pack mentality online, popular thing to dislike him. He's one of the greatest ever to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think there's not something to be said, but just kind of playing devil's advocate. I think a lot of people say there's like nepotism involved with his father. But I mean, he's still doing it. So I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah.
Like his dad's a big St. Louis legend. A funny thing about him is that, well, I'm sure you know this, but his dad and who is it, Stan Musial or somebody grew up like in the same neighborhood in St. Louis. Forgot who it was, but it's like some legend. And yeah, no, the Buck family is I mean, they're legit. Can't say anything about them.
No doubt. Joe's going into the Hall of Fame this summer.
Really?
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that like a goal of yours?
I wouldn't say that's something I think about. I think that would be a dreamlike outcome.
Yeah.
Of stuff I do think about. If I'm doing the job right, that would be an amazing thing to have come about. But no, I wouldn't say that's a specific goal or something that I feel like I'm trying for, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so just one thing that I'm curious about is like, I think you touched on it a little bit, but preparing for just a random June Tuesday night game at Dodger Stadium versus preparing for a playoff game. Just any like instances or things that are different.
During the regular season, it's like one game leads to the next, and that's not to say you don't prepare, that you just remember what happened the night before. But a lot of the stories and a lot of the preparation for that night's games comes out of the day before and comes out of the week before and the stretch leading up to it. When you're preparing for a postseason series, you it's not as much what did he do last week, it's what did he do this season. So it's another example of reframing the information.
Yeah.
Especially for game one of a series, man, oh man, it is, you talk about cramming and piling in the information into your brain. What it feels like getting ready for game one of a playoff series compared to what it feels like getting ready for the rest of the series, it's almost like a different job.
Yeah.
Like it is the ultimate cram fest. I would say it's the difference between getting ready for a final, that'd be game one, compared to doing a homework assignment.
Yeah.
For games 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Wow. We were just talking about somebody, or our coach mentioned somebody who works for you who's also a Beloit alum. I think his name's
Rick
Krajewski.
Yeah,
That's right. Our coach said he was a dumbass, but
I'll pass that along to him.
yeah, I wasn't supposed to say that, but we were talking about what was it, like our bunt coverages?
Yeah, bunt coverages.
And there's like a play where, I mean, hopefully no one in our conference is listening to this, but there's a play where we're supposed to do like a back pick at second, but it's like a fake, and then second baseman runs to first, try and get the runner at third. And our coach was like, if you know Rick, he was the dumbest guy ever, and he gets to work for Joe Davis.
In Rick's defense, he's a super smart guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he was bad when it came to bunt defense, but he's a really smart guy and a huge part of what I do.
Yeah. So I guess that's a big lesson you can be learned. Like, you can still work for a huge sportscaster, but also not know bunt coverages.
Right. Yeah. Just because bunt coverage is not your biggest strength, that doesn't mean that you can't aim high.
Right. Well, it's nice to know that you still got some Beloit alum in your corner.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
So what does he do for you?
He's my stats guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does that entail?
Yeah, he does each day. He'll send us a document breaking down just the statistical side of things, the game the night before and what's important from that. From a statistical perspective, each series, he gives us a preview document, and then he's sitting with us in the booth. And as the game goes on, statistical trends that he notices, he'll write down on note cards and pass them on to us.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really neat.
That's really cool. Okay, I know you got to get going soon, but one last question from us. Who are some of your favorite non-Dodger players?
I love Harper, given what
I
actually shot a commercial with Bryce Harper a few days ago in Nashville, and it was great. We had a great time. Let's see. Aaron Judge. It's hard not to go for Aaron Judge. I think seems like he's a great guy as well.
Yeah.
Those are two guys that pop to mind.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, you can't really go wrong with those two.
That's true.
All right. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you got to get going, spend time with the kids. But we really appreciate you doing this with us. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. It's awesome.
I appreciate it, guys. Me too. Thank you for having me, and continued success doing what you're doing. I know you're going to get a little bit better every time you do one of these. Like I still try to do every broadcast that I have, try to get a little bit better, and continue to use your time at Beloit for what it is, which is recognize it for what it is, a gift of an opportunity to learn about so many different things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For
Yeah.
sure.
All right. Well, thanks again, Joe. This was an absolute pleasure. It was really cool just to learn from you and your process and everything. And yeah, it's really awesome.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Joe.
Okay, guys, take care. All right.
You
Keep
too.
in touch.
Yes,
Awesome.
sir. Have a good
Thanks.
one.
See ya.